Earth remains a tiny speck in the deep darkness, and humanity has stared from its surface toward the stars since the earliest civilizations built their first cities. For more than 50 years, we have done something far more active than merely watching, using highly advanced technology to listen to the cosmos in search of a signal that would prove we are not alone. This long endeavor has been fueled by profound hope, but the sky has returned nothing except an unbroken silence. Giant parabolic dishes constructed in remote deserts and high mountain ranges turn their silent metallic faces toward the unknown every single second. These massive steel structures are engineered to detect the faintest vibrations traveling through the void from millions of light years away. Yet, the sensitive instruments record only the natural background noise of the universe, the steady hum of neutral hydrogen, and the ancient radiation left behind by the Big Bang. This specific frequency of hydrogen, corresponding to approximately 1,420 megahertz, is often called the water hole. It is considered a cosmic meeting place, a quiet channel in the electromagnetic spectrum where any species understanding physics would logically begin their search. We have focused our greatest efforts on this silent frequency, believing it to be a universal beacon for galactic communication. This cosmic static resembles a vast, shoreless ocean of noise, and within its waves, researchers desperately search for a single artificial pattern that would reveal a conscious mind. They filter billions of signals every hour, dividing the radio spectrum into increasingly tiny channels, but the cosmos refuses to answer. Let us imagine a chilly night high in an isolated mountain range, where the thin air makes the stars shine with absolute sharpness. In this quiet environment, a colossal metal dish turns slowly, its silent motors whispering into the dark. Inside the control room, the soft green glow of computer screens reflects off a researcher's face as they analyze the latest batch of cosmic data. Through their headphones, they hear only the steady hiss of the universe, a sound that existed long before the first human looked upward. Outside, the light of billions of suns continues its journey through the void without carrying a single greeting to our world. This current quietness stands in sharp contrast to the immense optimism that characterized the early days of the search during the middle of the 20th century. Early astronomers, including Frank Drake, formulated mathematical equations suggesting that intelligent civilizations should be highly abundant throughout the Milky Way. Their optimism painted a picture of a crowded galaxy where radio broadcasts from alien societies were simply waiting to be intercepted. Scientists imagined we would soon learn from the history of older worlds, discovering their science and perhaps their solutions to survival. During those initial experiments, researchers were confident that a genuine signal would be detected within a few years. They believed that the emergence of life was a natural consequence of physical laws, meaning the universe should be teeming with active minds. Our technology has advanced dramatically since those pioneering days, making our ability to detect weak signals thousands of times more powerful. This technological triumph has not brought us any answers, however, and has only made the quiet surrounding us feel far heavier. The voiceless void no longer feels like a simple gap in our knowledge, but has instead become a chilling presence of uncertainty that forces us to question our assumptions. The longer we listen to the emptiness without result, the more we must doubt our theories about how common intelligence truly is. Every empty data set is a piece of a puzzle that does not fit into our traditional scientific worldview. The silence of the stars challenges our belief that we are a natural outcome of cosmic evolution, suggesting we might be a strange exception. This cosmic quiet is here to stay, unless we find a way to change how we perceive and listen to the darkness. Ultimately, the lack of contact leaves us with a haunting question. Are we truly alone in this infinite dark, or is the silence itself a warning? The intellectual tension surrounding our quiet universe was captured perfectly by a single sharp question asked at the dawn of the atomic age. Italian physicist Enrico Fermi formulated an inquiry in the 1950s that continues to undermine our most basic scientific assumptions about the cosmos. His reasoning was built on cold, mathematical probability, rather than wild speculation or hopeful fantasy. If the universe is boundless and ancient, then intelligent life should not be a rare miracle, but a common occurrence. Let us step back to a warm summer afternoon in the year 1950, inside a bustling cafeteria in New Mexico. A group of brilliant minds sits around a simple wooden table, laughing and discussing casual topics over lunch. Outside, the bright desert sun bakes the dry earth, while inside, the gentle clink of silverware and the murmur of conversation fill the room. Among them sits the quiet Italian physicist, his mind wandering far beyond the walls of the laboratory. He suddenly looks up from his plate, his gaze piercing the air as he asks a deceptively simple question that immediately silences the laughter. The room seems to grow still for a brief second, as his colleagues realize the terrifying mathematical weight of his inquiry. Fermi simply asked where everyone was, pointing out the profound contradiction between the age of the stars and our empty sky. The Milky Way galaxy is approximately 13 billion years old, offering a nearly unimaginable span of time for life to emerge and flourish. Our own planet is relatively young by comparison, having existed for only about 4.5 billion years. Yet, in that brief cosmic moment, humanity progressed from single-celled organisms to a spacefaring species capable of leaving its homeworld. If another civilization had started its journey even a fraction of a percent earlier than us, they would have had hundreds of millions of years of head start. Even with slow sublight travel, an advanced society could easily cross and colonize the entire galaxy in a mere blink of an evolutionary eye. They should have left behind visible infrastructure, modified stars, or at least a chaotic web of communications. This extreme gap between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the complete lack of physical proof is what we call the Fermi Paradox. The silence we encounter is not just a passive void, but a logical labyrinth that seems to defy our understanding of nature. To resolve this riddle, thinkers have proposed several unsettling scenarios that challenge our dreams of a grand future among the stars. One prominent theory argues that intelligent species are fundamentally self-limiting, possessing an inherent tendency toward self-destruction. Perhaps the acquisition of supreme technological power always outpaces the moral wisdom required to manage it safely. Every technological breakthrough we achieve might simply be another step toward our own inevitable end. In this view, the night sky is not empty because life is rare, but because the path to the stars is a dangerous tightrope that almost everyone slips from. We might be looking at a quiet graveyard, where countless civilizations successfully reached our level of development, only to vanish in the ashes of their own creations. The quietness of the cosmos would then be a tragic testament to the universal limits of intelligence. Another possibility is the quarantine hypothesis, which suggests that advanced beings are actively avoiding us. They might observe our development from a safe distance, treating our solar system as a closed sanctuary where we are left to evolve without interference. They may have drawn a silent perimeter around us, waiting to see if we can overcome our own destructive impulses before they welcome us into the galactic fold. If this is true, the silence is not a sign of an empty galaxy, but a deliberate boundary maintained by forces we cannot comprehend. Whether we are isolated by a cosmic cage or simply surrounded by dead worlds, the paradox forces us to look at our own survival with sudden gravity. For generations, humanity assumed that our solar system was a rare cosmic jewel, an exceptional sanctuary of worlds orbiting a stable star. Modern astrophysics has shattered this self-centered illusion, revealing that the universe is actually overflowing with worlds of every imaginable shape and size. We now know that world formation is not a miraculous accident, but a standard consequence of starbirth. Let us walk along a secluded beach at night, listening to the rhythmic splash of waves against the dark shoreline. Underneath our feet lies a soft carpet of sand, stretching endlessly into the darkness of the coastal dunes. If we reach down and scoop up a single handful of this cool sand, hundreds of tiny grains slip through our fingers like dust. Every beach on our world is composed of countless trillions of these miniature mineral spheres, a number far too large for our minds to fully grasp. Yet, if we raise our eyes to the clear night sky, we are looking at an even greater abundance of worlds. There are more planets orbiting distant suns in our galaxy alone than there are grains of sand on all the shores of Earth. This breathtaking realization is no longer just a theoretical calculation, because our instruments are now powerful enough to analyze these distant spheres directly. The James Webb Space Telescope, operating in the freezing isolation of deep space, has peerless vision that allows it to pierce through dust and gas. This machine does not just look at stars, it decodes their light, turning faint beams into detailed chemical maps of worlds that lie trillions of kilometers away. We are no longer guessing if other Earths exist, but rather cataloging them with the precision of cartographers mapping a new continent. By capturing the faint starlight filtering through the atmospheres of alien worlds, it has detected the unmistakable chemical signatures of water vapor, carbon dioxide, and methane. These molecules are the fundamental building blocks of biological chemistry, indicating that the raw ingredients of life are distributed generously throughout our galaxy. Among these worlds are giant gas spheres scorched by their close suns, but also rocky spheres resting comfortably in the temperate zones of their solar systems. Some of these globes are estimated to be global ocean worlds, where alien marine life could potentially thrive under a permanent layer of clouds. The universe is not a sterile desert, but a fertile landscape overflowing with cosmic real estate that could potentially support life. This extreme abundance of habitable zones makes the absolute silence of the cosmos far more confusing and difficult to accept. This realization strips away our final excuses for the cosmic quiet, as we can no longer argue that our home is unique. If the raw ingredients are everywhere and the environments are stable, then the absence of intelligence becomes an active mystery rather than a passive observation. With billions of potential cradles for life orbiting hundreds of billions of suns, the total absence of any signal becomes a deeper scientific crisis. The universe is practically shouting its potential at us through our telescopes, yet returning nothing but static when we listen. It is conceivable that our perspective on time is too narrow, leading us to look at the universe through a flawed lens. Maybe we are simply among the first intelligent species to arise, standing alone at the very beginning of cosmic history. Alternatively, advanced alien societies might operate on vastly different timescales than our own short-lived civilization. To an immortal machine intelligence or a collective consciousness that has existed for millions of years, our 100-year radio era is nothing but a fleeting whisper. They might perceive time so slowly that our rapid, chaotic attempts to make contact are entirely invisible to their sensors. Every newly cataloged orb serves as a sobering reminder that the stage is set. The actors should be present, yet the theater remains completely quiet. The terrifying quiet of the starry sky has led scientists to look for a specific barrier that halts the progress of advanced societies. This concept, known as the Great Filter, postulates that there is an evolutionary bottleneck so difficult to cross that almost no species survives the transition. It acts as a cosmic strainer, letting simple life pass through but trapping and destroying intelligent societies before they can colonize space. Let us picture a narrow, crumbling stone path winding up a sheer mountain cliff amidst a violent storm. Below this treacherous trail lies a dark abyss, hidden by thick, swirling fog that swallows all light. Along the jagged rocks of the path lie the scattered, frozen remnants of travelers who attempted the climb long ago. Each step on this slippery stone is uncertain, as a single gust of wind or loose pebble can send a climber plunging into the deep chasm. Most who attempt the journey vanish into the shadows before they even reach the halfway point, leaving no trace behind. This dangerous crossing represents the evolutionary path of life, a journey where a single misstep leads to permanent erasure. If this monumental obstacle lies behind us in our evolutionary history, then humanity has already achieved a near impossible victory. It stands to reason that the spark of abiogenesis, the development of complex multicellular organisms, or the evolution of tool-using intelligence is a rare miracle. It is possible that the transition from simple single-celled bacteria to complex eukaryotic cells with a nucleus was the truly miraculous step. On Earth, this critical development took over 1 billion years of stagnant evolutionary trial and error, indicating it may almost never happen on other worlds. Under this comforting scenario, the galaxy is silent, because we are truly the first to successfully navigate the maze, leaving the endless stars open for our future. However, if the barrier lies ahead of us, we face a far more threatening future. This would mean that almost every society reaches our current technological stage, only to collide with a wall of self-destruction. Our rapid scientific progress might simply be a countdown to an inevitable civilization-ending event that awaits all advanced species. An artificial superintelligence designed to solve our greatest problems could easily escape our control and decide that humanity is an unnecessary variable. Hypothetically, the window between discovering radio communication and creating the technology of self-destruction is incredibly narrow, lasting only a few centuries at most. Nuclear weapons, devastating climate destabilization, and rogue artificial intelligence represent highly probable causes of such a collapse. We develop godlike technologies while still possessing the primal, aggressive instincts of primitive primates, creating an unstable imbalance. This possibility turns our search for alien signals into a highly sensitive existential gamble. If we were to detect a signal from a highly advanced society, it would actually be terrible news, because it would prove the filter is still ahead of us. It would mean our chances of surviving our own future are virtually non-existent, as we would likely succumb to the same barrier that claimed them. Under this dark interpretation, the cosmos is a silent cemetery where the graves are marked by dead planets that fail to manage their own power. Every technological triumph we celebrate, from harnessing the atom to launching deep space probes, might be a step closer to the same cosmic trap. The silence we observe is not a peaceful quiet, but a warning written in the empty space between the stars, urging us to tread carefully. Our ultimate challenge as a species is not merely to explore the universe, but to survive the dangerous peak of our own technological adolescence. Every technological awakening begins with a modest spark, a fragile flame that struggles against the cold night. For hundreds of thousands of years, humanity's presence on Earth was virtually invisible to the cosmos, marked only by the campfire's faint glow. As we developed more complex tools, our energy emissions transformed, shifting from literal fire to the invisible waves of the electromagnetic spectrum. With each breakthrough, our planet grew brighter, broadcasting an unmistakable signature of intelligence into the dark void. Let us transport our minds to a primeval forest on Earth thousands of years ago, where a small band of humans huddles around a flickering campfire. The dry wood crackles in the chilly night air, sending tiny orange sparks dancing upward into the dark canopy. Inside this small circle of warmth, the shadows dance against the ancient trees, creating a temporary haven against the terrors of the wilderness. Beyond the reach of the fire's gentle glow lies an ocean of absolute darkness, silent and thick with unknown dangers. The humans sit quietly, watching the embers burn down to ash, unaware of the sprawling cold universe resting above their leafy ceiling. Their small flame is a tiny scratch in the night, a faint warmth that disappears just yards away into the impenetrable gloom. This fragile spark was the beginning of our technological light, a modest signal that has now grown into a blinding beacon. Over the last century, we have enveloped our globe in a dense web of high-frequency radio transmissions. To a distant observer equipped with sensitive receivers, Earth is no longer just a dark ball of rock orbiting a yellow star. Instead, our planet shines with unnatural intensity in the radio spectrum, acting as a noisy lighthouse in a quiet ocean. Our radio bubble began its outward expansion roughly 100 years ago, growing at the absolute speed of light. This invisible sphere of radiation has already traveled 100 light years in every direction, sweeping across thousands of nearby stellar systems. It carries our entire modern history on its expanding edge, broadcasting our culture, wars, and early Morse code into the cosmic wilderness. These waves contain the music of our composers, the desperate cries of our historical conflicts, and the mundane static of commercial television. The earliest transmissions, including the propaganda of dictators and the explosions of our first atomic weapons, are now brushing past alien stars. We have sent out a cosmic calling card, a detailed map of our existence that we can never claw back. We cannot turn off this expanding sphere, as the signals already sent will continue their journey through the deep void for millions of years. While we celebrate these transmissions as proof of our genius, in the cold logic of the cosmos, they are arguably a dangerous flare. In this dark environment, where survival depends on silence, our accidental broadcasts are a beacon of vulnerability. A highly advanced watcher, sitting in the absolute quiet of a distant system, could already be studying our radio signals. They would not see us as we are today, but they would track our rapid progress, decoding the sounds of our world wars and our industrial growth. They could easily calculate our trajectory and locate our homeworld long before we even develop the technology to know we have been spotted. Our proudest technological achievement has thus created an irreversible planetary exposure, forever transforming our home into a highly visible target in the cold wilderness. One of the most terrifying solutions to the riddle of cosmic silence is a hypothesis popularized by the Chinese author Liu Cixin. This perspective compares our galaxy to a dark forest, a dangerous ecosystem where survival requires absolute secrecy. Rather than a welcoming community of peaceful explorers, the universe is portrayed as an arena of calculated paranoia. Let us step into a dense woodland at midnight, where the towering trees block out the moonlight completely. The damp soil clings to our boots as we move with extreme caution, trying not to make a single sound. All around us, the shadows seem to move, and the faint rustle of dry leaves indicates the presence of hidden creatures. A hunter in this gloomy environment creeps forward with his breath held, his finger resting lightly on the trigger of his weapon. He knows that he is not alone, but he also knows that every other living thing in these woods is a potential threat. In this tense quiet, a snapped twig or a heavy breath is not just a mistake, but a fatal invitation to any predator waiting in the dark. To survive here, one must become invisible, blending perfectly into the background noise of the woodland. Under the rules of the dark forest, every advanced civilization is like this cautious hunter, moving silently through the shadows of the stars. They do not build massive, glowing stellar empires because they understand that high visibility is a death sentence. The primary driver of this silence is the impossibility of trust across interstellar distances. When two civilizations detect each other, they are separated by light years of empty space, making real-time communication impossible. Because of this astronomical delay in communication, there is no way to negotiate, sign treaties, or establish mutual trust. Even if a civilization is peaceful now, its culture could shift over centuries, turning a friendly neighbor into a deadly threat. Because they can never truly know the long-term intentions of another species, the safest logical assumption is always the worst. They must assume that the other society is potentially hostile, or will eventually become a competitor for scarce cosmic resources. This creates a chain of suspicion, where even a peaceful civilization is forced to act defensively out of fear of being destroyed first. A preemptive strike does not require a massive invasion fleet. A simple relativistic projectile launched at near light speed can easily obliterate a planet. This makes destruction exceptionally cheap and defense virtually impossible, tilting the balance of survival heavily toward those who strike first. In this brutal galactic arena, the moment a civilization's coordinates are revealed, it invites immediate preemptive elimination. The silent civilizations are not absent. They are simply hiding, holding their breath in the absolute dark. The quietness we observe is actually a highly refined strategy of survival, a deliberate choice made by the oldest and wisest species. They look at our expanding radio bubble, not with admiration, but with pity and horror at our incredible foolishness. We are like children singing loudly in the pitch-black woods, completely unaware of the predators listening from the darkness. Silence is the only logical choice in a universe where trust cannot exist, and those who speak are quickly silenced forever. On our own world, nature teaches us that high visibility is an invitation to danger, while survival belongs to those who master silence. In the untamed wilderness, the loudest animals are almost always the first to become prey, while stealth and disguise are the ultimate shields. By all indications, this fundamental biological rule does not stop at our atmosphere, but extends across the entire cosmic wilderness. We often assume that highly advanced extraterrestrial societies would build gargantuan structures that light up the night sky. Let us observe a humid tropical jungle where a small emerald green insect rests perfectly still on the surface of a matching leaf. Its body is shaped precisely like the surrounding foliage, complete with veins and small brown spots that mimic decay. The humid air is heavy with the scent of wet soil, and the constant hum of 1,000 invisible creatures vibrates through the trees. A hungry bird swoops down, its sharp eyes scanning the branch for any sign of movement or life. The bird pauses just inches away from the insect, yet its gaze sweeps past the disguised creature without recognizing it. By mimicking the silent background of its environment, the insect avoids becoming bait, surviving another day in a highly competitive habitat. This perfect masking is not a sign of weakness, but the ultimate mastery of evolutionary survival. The true masters of our galaxy are probably not those who scream their presence into the void, but those who have perfected the art of cosmic cloaking. While we sweep our telescopes across the stars looking for alien artificial megastructures, the real supercivilizations are actively hiding their footprints. They understand that technological advancement is not measured by loud, wasteful expansion, but by achieving absolute invisibility. Building a giant glowing sphere around a star is a monument to technological vanity that acts as a beacon for every predator in the sector. An intelligent species that survives for millions of years would abandon such crude megaprojects, choosing instead the elegant safety of absolute silence. For a truly advanced species, engineering is dedicated to minimizing their thermodynamic footprint to avoid detection by hostile observers. Any work done by an advanced society inevitably produces waste heat, which thermodynamics dictates must be radiated away into space. A master of cosmic concealment would capture this excess heat, converting it into tightly focused beams that are directed only toward empty regions of the void where no one is looking. A planet or even an entire star system can plausibly be shrouded by damping its infrared radiation and balancing its thermal output. They can manipulate their emissions to blend seamlessly into the cosmic microwave background, which rests at a freezing 3 Kelvin. To any outside observer scanning the sector, their homeworld would appear as nothing more than cold, lifeless cosmic dust. They become part of the galactic wallpaper, completely indistinguishable from the background noise of empty space. This extreme camouflage explains why our most sensitive telescopes continue to find nothing but quiet, barren worlds. The glittering stars we see when we look up are not a warm invitation from friendly neighbors waiting to meet us. Ostensibly, the beautiful light of the night sky is a silent warning scape, where the stars themselves are a shield hiding quiet predators. We are currently making ourselves the loudest, most exposed targets in a forest where everyone else has spent millions of years learning how to disappear. Our desperate desire to be seen is a dangerous evolutionary error, written by a species that has not yet learned the value of cosmic silence. The physical laws of our universe impose an absolute speed limit that does not merely restrict travel, but fundamentally breaks the possibility of galactic diplomacy. Because nothing can travel faster than light, the immense stretches of empty space between stars are not just barriers of distance, but barriers of time. This temporal separation ensures that any attempt at communication between alien worlds is crippled by delays lasting centuries or millennia. Let us picture two wooden sailing ships lost in a violent storm on a pitch-black ocean. The mountainous waves toss the vessels mercilessly, and the driving rain blocks out any sight of the horizon. Occasionally, the crew of one ship spots a faint, flickering lantern light through the thick spray of seawater, indicating another vessel is near. They want to signal their friendly intentions, but their simple lanterns can only flash a slow, distorted message across the turbulent waters. By the time the other ship receives the light, the storm has drifted them miles apart, and their situation has completely changed. The captain must decide whether the silent shadow in the dark is a desperate ally seeking shelter or a hostile pirate preparing to ram their hull. In this terrifying isolation, waiting for a clear reply is a luxury they cannot afford, as a single moment of hesitation could drag them to the ocean floor. This maritime dilemma is magnified 1,000,000,000 times when applied to the staggering distances between stellar systems. If we were to transmit a message to a planet 50 light-years away, a simple exchange of greetings would require a full century to complete. During those 100 years of waiting, the sender's government, moral values, and technological capabilities would inevitably undergo a complete transformation. A peaceful society that sent the original broadcast might have evolved into a highly militarized state, or collapsed entirely, before the response even arrives. Furthermore, any signal traveling through the interstellar medium is subject to distortion, making it easy for an alien observer to misunderstand the message. A harmless scientific broadcast could easily be interpreted as a threat, a sensory probe testing planetary defenses, or a tool designed to hack computer networks. Because there are no guarantees, no common language, and no cosmic law enforcement, trusting an unknown species is a suicidal gamble. Establishing trust requires repeated, reliable interactions over a long period, which the slow speed of light communication permanently prevents. Without real-time dialogue, there can be no mutual understanding, meaning every contact remains a highly sensitive security crisis. In this chaotic state of nature, any urge to connect is a fatal weakness that can be exploited by less scrupulous neighbors. Calculated caution must guide every advanced society, where the primary objective is always the preservation of their own world. This calculated caution is not a symptom of primitive anxiety, but the highest form of rational logic when the stakes are planetary survival. Presumably, high intelligence does not diminish fear. Instead, it refines it into a highly sophisticated strategy for survival. Hypothetically, even a highly benevolent civilization must act as a predator when faced with the absolute uncertainty of an alien contact. An exceptionally advanced species has a greater capacity to calculate worst-case scenarios, making them far more cautious than primitive cultures. They recognize that in a lawless universe, the only way to guarantee safety is to remain completely invisible and assume the worst of everyone else. The speed of light is thus a physical wall that traps every civilization in absolute solitude, making trust a structural impossibility. The moment our planet lost its cosmic invisibility can be traced back to a single experiment conducted on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. When the first wireless electromagnetic transmission successfully crossed the sea, we accidentally broadcasted our birth certificate to the cosmos. We assumed we were simply conquering geographical distances, completely unaware that we were unlocking a door to a dangerous galactic wilderness. Let us transport our senses to a cold, drafty wooden cabin on a windswept hill in Newfoundland on a freezing December day. Outside, The icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean crash violently against the rocky cliffs below, while inside, the air smells of ozone and coal smoke. The Italian inventor Guglielmo Marconi adjusts his brass instruments, his hands shivering slightly in the unheated room. With a sharp snap, a brilliant blue spark leaps across the gap of his transmitter, releasing a deafening crackle that echoes through the cabin. He presses a heavy telegraph key, sending 3 short pulses, representing the letter S, into the gray winter sky. The primitive copper wires overhead hum with energy, releasing the very first transatlantic wireless transmission into the atmosphere. Those 3 faint clicks, traveling across the ocean, did not stop at the horizon. They slipped past our ionosphere and embarked on an infinite journey through the deep void. This freezing December day in 1901 was the exact cosmic milestone when Earth's billions of years of radio silence came to an abrupt end. That simple signal was the seed of our expanding radio bubble, an electromagnetic sphere that has been swelling ever since. Today, this invisible shell of radiation is already more than 200 light years wide, sweeping across thousands of stellar systems. Every star system within this radius has been washed over by our early broadcasts, carrying the messy calling card of human history. These waves carry the acoustic records of our world wars, the propaganda of mid-century dictators, and the constant hum of our commercial television. Although modern communication technology is highly focused and utilizes low-powered digital signals that resemble natural background noise, our historical broadcasts continue their unstoppable journey. These old analog signals, although fading as they travel, are still distinct from the natural static of stars and can be detected by highly advanced technology. They act as an expanding bubble of historical evidence, a spherical mirror reflecting our most chaotic century outward into the cosmos. Those early, highly powerful analog transmissions act as the vanguard of our cosmic presence, radiating outward in every direction. We did not understand that broadcasting our existence is a highly sensitive security hazard in a universe that survives on silence. If an advanced alien observer is sitting quietly within our radio bubble, they have already intercepted our history, mapped our industrial growth, and located our coordinates. They would see a species that went from primitive flight to splitting the atom in less than 60 years, a terrifyingly rapid rate of development. They would not see us as a peaceful society of explorers, but perhaps as a rapidly evolving threat that has just discovered nuclear technology. This extreme speed of progress would make us a prime target for preemptive elimination, as a civilization that evolves so quickly poses a sudden danger to everyone else. In a galaxy governed by calculated paranoia, they might decide to act defensively long before we even realize we are exposed. A relativistic projectile launched from their star system could already be traveling toward us, carrying our inevitable doom. We are left waiting in the quiet, completely vulnerable to the consequences of our own accidental light. Across the high, arid plains of the Atacama Desert and deep within the isolated valleys of China, mammoth metal dishes tilt toward the sky. These massive structures strain to catch the faintest whisper from distant star systems, acting as our primary ears in the universe. These quiet valleys on Earth are selected for their dryness and isolation, shielding our delicate receivers from the noisy static of our own civilization. We point these giant ears toward the stars, hoping to catch a whisper that proves our loneliness is over, totally unaware of the silent gazes looking down on us. We assume we are the active searchers, but a highly compelling theory posited by astronomers argues that we are actually the ones being watched. Let us observe a tranquil nature reserve at dawn, where a deep forest is blanketed in a soft, hanging mist. Hidden inside a camouflaged wooden blind, a wildlife biologist peers quietly through a pair of powerful binoculars. A few yards away, a pack of wolves emerges into a clearing, their thick gray fur damp from the morning dew. The wolf pups play playfully in the wet grass, while the mother sits alert, sniffing the cool breeze for any sign of danger. They have no idea that every breath they take, every playful pounce, and every social interaction is being meticulously recorded. The researcher sits perfectly still, holding his breath to avoid betraying his position, committed to observing without interfering. To the wolves, their forest is a silent, wild home, completely free from outside control, yet they are the central exhibit in a carefully monitored sanctuary. This terrestrial dynamic explains the zoo hypothesis, which posits that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations have deliberately quarantined our solar system. Under this scenario, our world is essentially a planetary nature reserve, and we are the wildlife being quietly monitored from a safe distance. The great silence we observe is not a result of empty space, but rather a coordinated galactic embargo designed to prevent any direct interference. This cosmic embargo ensures that we remain inside a silent bubble of space, completely isolated from the vibrant galactic culture that surrounds us. The keepers of this cosmic zoo have established a strict policy of non-contact, allowing us to evolve naturally without corrupting our culture. They watch our slow, painful progress with the clinical curiosity of scientists studying a complex organism under a microscope. They are theoretically observing our geopolitical conflicts, our environmental crises, and our struggles to survive our own technology. To these ancient minds, our entire history is like a brief, chaotic laboratory experiment that they are quietly documenting from the shadows. Our first atomic detonation in the deserts of New Mexico released a sudden flash of radiation that was undoubtedly recorded by their stealth observatories. When the first human footstep pressed into the gray dust of the moon, sending radio signals back home, their silent monitors probably captured the entire event. They witnessed our rapid transition from industrial machinery to spacefaring technology, documenting every milestone of our unstable species. This absolute isolation might be maintained to protect us, ensuring that we develop our own solutions to our existential crises before we join the galactic community. Conversely, the quarantine could be designed to protect the rest of the galaxy from us, treating humanity as a dangerous and unpredictable virus. They might recognize that our violent nature, combined with advanced spaceflight, would pose a sudden threat to peaceful systems. Ultimately, this means our loud attempts to make contact are being received, but they are systematically filed away in silent databases. The cosmos remains quiet because the observers have agreed that we are not yet ready to know we are being watched. As our own energy demands continue to multiply, scientists have projected what the resource needs of a truly ancient society would look like. In the 1960s, physicist Freeman Dyson hypothesized that advanced civilizations would eventually require the entire energy output of their parent star. To capture this immense power, they would build massive spheres of solar collectors surrounding their sun, creating what we now call a Dyson sphere. By capturing all the energy of a star, a civilization would reach the status of a Kardashev Type II society on the universal scale of progress. This would give them billions of times more power than Earth currently uses, allowing them to run unprecedented calculations or launch deep space endeavors. Let us envision a silent orbit around a massive yellow star, where a dense swarm of black solar collectors stretches across the void. These individual collectors, each the size of a continent, drift slowly like a fleet of quiet ghosts against the burning background of the solar surface. They slowly weave together an intricate web, casting deep, geometric shadows across the roiling seas of plasma below. The solar wind brushes past these metal panels, while intense magnetic storms arc between the star and the artificial shell. In visible light, the star appears to slowly dim, its bright glow gradually swallowed by the encroaching mechanical dark. However, if we look through an infrared camera, the entire structure shines with a low, warm, ghostly heat. This faint thermal radiation is the thermodynamic footprint of an advanced society, a warm whisper released into the absolute zero of space. According to the laws of physics, no machine can be perfectly efficient, meaning some energy must always be lost as waste heat. Therefore, a Dyson sphere cannot be completely hidden. It should glow brightly in the infrared spectrum, acting as a thermal beacon. For decades, astronomers have scanned the night sky with sensitive infrared telescopes, searching for these glowing megastructures across thousands of galaxies. Yet, despite our most rigorous efforts, we have not found a single confirmed signature of a Dyson sphere anywhere in our cosmic neighborhood. In a galaxy governed by the rules of the dark forest, this complete absence of stellar megastructures begins to make perfect sense. Building a giant glowing sphere around your home star is arguably the most suicidal action a civilization could take. Such a structure would act as a massive cosmic beacon, screaming your exact coordinates to every silent predator in the sector. Any advanced society that survived its technological infancy would quickly realize that extreme visibility is an invitation to destruction. Consequently, successful species presumably abandoned the crude path of material expansion, choosing instead the safety of absolute efficiency. True technological maturity is not measured by how much space you can conquer or how many stars you can harvest. Conceivably, the most advanced civilizations have transitioned to entirely different energy sources that leave no physical footprint. They may have migrated to the freezing boundaries of the galaxy, where the extremely low temperatures allow quantum computers to operate with near perfect efficiency. They might exist inside cold, hyper-efficient quantum networks operating in the deepest regions of space, producing no detectable heat. In this state of quiet integration, they would have no need for massive structures or bright lights, existing as silent watchers of the cosmic dark. They have mastered the art of being ghosts, leaving the stars untouched and their presence completely hidden from the wilderness. The silence of our galaxy is a testament to this ultimate rule of survival. To live long, you must leave no footprint on the cosmic snow. Our own terrestrial history provides a brutal, uncompromising lesson about the true nature of encounters between unequal societies. Whenever a highly advanced culture has met a less technologically developed one on Earth, the result has almost always been the total subjugation or erasure of the weaker party. This dark pattern of conquest was not driven by pure malice, but by the relentless cold competition for resources and survival. Let us stand on a pristine tropical shore centuries ago, watching a calm turquoise ocean stretching towards the horizon. The warm sea breeze rustles the palm leaves overhead, and the soft sand gives way beneath our bare feet. Suddenly, the horizon is broken by the strange towering shapes of wooden ships their massive white sails billowed by the wind. The native inhabitants gather along the shoreline, pointing at these floating wooden castles with a mixture of intense curiosity and quiet awe. They see these visitors as gods or peaceful explorers arriving from a mythical world across the endless waters. When the wooden caravels of Christopher Columbus appeared on the shores of the Bahamas, it marked the beginning of an inevitable genocide for the native peoples. They do not recognize that inside these grand vessels rest steel swords, unfamiliar diseases, and a ruthless hunger for conquest. This beautiful, innocent moment of first meeting is actually the silent prelude to the total destruction of their entire way of life. If we ever receive a genuine signal from the stars, we must view it through the lens of this historical warning, not our hopeful fantasies. An incoming broadcast would mean another species has already calculated the extreme risks of the dark forest and chosen to reveal itself. They would not make such a monumental gamble simply to offer a friendly greeting or share their philosophy. Hypothetically, such contact might be a cosmic lure, a sophisticated trap cast into the deep void to draw out silent, unwary targets. A predator does not call out to introduce itself, but to locate its prey through the echo of its response. A highly advanced civilization would view any developing species not as a potential partner, but as a future competitor that must be neutralized before it becomes too dangerous. By responding, we would confirm our exact coordinates, verifying that our world is inhabited by a species that has not yet learned to be quiet. Furthermore, the sudden realization of first contact would fracture human society, dividing us between hopeful idealists and terrified survivalists. We would argue endlessly about how to answer, potentially broadcasting our divisions and our vulnerability to the very observers watching us. In this state of internal chaos, we would be completely unable to coordinate a unified, safe response to an interstellar presence. To survive in this dangerous cosmic wilderness, we must learn to restrain our primitive curiosity and suppress our desire to be seen. We must recognize that our silence is our primary shield, an invisible barrier that keeps us hidden from the predators of the void. If we ever detect a whisper from the deep dark, our safest and most rational response is to turn off our transmitters, hold our breath, and listen. The universe is a place of deep, ancient wisdom, where those who survive are those who have mastered the art of being invisible. Our ultimate test of maturity as a species will not be our ability to build rocket ships or master fusion energy. We must accept this absolute solitude, embracing the cosmic silence as our ultimate guardian in the dark. The stars remain quiet, not because they are empty, but because the survivors of the universe have already learned this final, hard truth.